Hey, friends, welcome back to the Lifestyle School podcast, where we explore the connection between lifestyle, metabolic health, and really everyday life. My goal with this podcast is to connect nutrition, exercise, behavior change, and really package it in a way that you can start to live a lifestyle that promotes the health and the weight that you desire. So, with that, guys, I am so glad that you're here with me today. But before we get started, as always, I want to remind you that this podcast is for educational purposes only, and it is not medical advice. Everything I share with you is for your information, your encouragement, and to help you think differently about your health. And if you are making any major changes to your diet, exercise, or lifestyle, please always consult with a qualified healthcare professional first, especially if you have underlying health conditions. With that, guys, let's get into it. I want to start by asking you a tough question. So, have you ever thought, and I want you to be honest, that when I lose 20 pounds, then I will finally feel happy, I'll finally feel confident and at peace with myself? I want you to think back over the course of your life. I look back, I'm 35. Unfortunately, I have definitely heard myself say that. Maybe you have said it out loud. When I fit into those jeans again, when I see a smaller number on the scale, when I can wear a swimsuit without hiding under my cover up, then I'm going to love myself. Well, guys, today we're going to talk about a really hard truth that I think is so important to address within the context of talking about weight loss, talking about health and lifestyle. And it's this: if you don't love your body right now, if you don't accept it, you're not going to magically love it 20, 30, 40, 50, or 100 pounds later. And I know that stings a little bit to hear, but I can tell you both from working in this field for 10 years and even from my own journey that this is a reality. And truthfully, I've seen this over and over again, both in my own journey and in those of my clients. You hit the goal weight, you hit that quote number on the scale that you've idolized, but you don't suddenly flip a switch and fall in love with your reflection in the mirror or with who you are. You just find something else to criticize and you tell yourself, oh, my stomach still isn't flat enough. I still got this like little bit of pooch here. I have this little bit extra on my love handles. My arms still look a little flabby. Maybe I should lose another 5 pounds. And what I want to unpack today is this: that the journey of health and weight loss is not just about food or exercise. It's truly about your perspective. And if you don't cultivate contentment and self love right now at the beginning of your journey, maybe before you start your journey, or at least in the process of your journey, you're never going to arrive at a place, or I should say, the place that you're trying to get to. And let's talk about why this matters so much. I bet part of you can maybe understand this, but I think this is just something we should unpack a little bit. So hang with me today because we're going to kind of get deep. Maybe it's going to be a little emotional. Maybe it's going to sting a little bit, but I think this is such an important conversation and one that we don't have enough in this space of weight loss. First, your body is not your enemy. And I think it's really easy to sometimes see it that way when we're on a health or weight loss journey, because it's like, why will you not just bend to my will? Right? Like, if only we were robots and we could just like turn some dials, tighten a few screws, and everything is just straightforward and works like machinery. We're a little bit more complicated than that. Your body, though, is the most loyal, hardworking companion you will ever have, right? Think about everything it has carried you through. It's carried you through illness, stressful nights. For the women listening, some of you, it's carried you through pregnancy, childbirth for some, broken sleep, long days at work, it keeps your heart beating, it keeps your lungs expanding, it keeps your mind functioning, it repairs the cuts and bruises that happen, and it's fought off numerous infections, and it's literally been your home for your entire life. I want you to hear that again because I don't think a lot of times we think of our body this way, but your body has literally been your home your entire life. But instead of thanking it, we criticize. And I am just as guilty, guys, of this as I'm sure you may be feeling. So this isn't coming from a place of superiority. I want to make that clear. This is coming from a place of like, I need this message as much for myself as I'm sure anyone else does. I'm preaching to the choir. Let's just put it that way. Instead of caring for these beautiful bodies of ours, we punish it, right? And what happens when you reject your body? Well, typically that leads to a level of self-sabotage. Sorry, that did not come out right. Self-sabotage. And when we think these thoughts of like, I hate my body, or I'm so frustrated, and it's like so ugly, it's not worth my love and affection, that emotion translates into our behavior. And we restrict food, maybe we overexercise, or, we bounce back the other direction and binge because we feel defeated. you know, you push your body sometimes harder and harder and harder, or you just totally give up completely, right? It's that pendulum again that we've talked about of we're either like super restrictive or we're just super off the train and don't give a crap about anything. Um, that is the pendulum that not accepting our body puts us on, and it's punishment for our body. It is the opposite of partnership. And my hope is that as we talk about this today, maybe you start to recognize some areas of your thinking about your home or your body. I would, maybe we should start referring to it as our home, our body, and help you shift from a punishment perspective from our body to a partnership. And here's something that's really fascinating is that this isn't just emotional. It can feel very emotional, but it's also physiological. Negative self-talk and body rejection raises our stress hormones. Your body hears the message, I'm not safe, I'm under threat. It both hears the message and it probably feels it if we are on that big pendulum. And stress hormones like cortisol go up. We've talked about cortisol in previous episodes. A little bit of cortisol is good, but a lot of chronically high cortisol is not. It's one of those metabolic disrupting pathways. And excuse me, this is going to increase our cravings. It's going to increase our blood sugar swings, and it's going to increase our belly fat. Where, on the other hand, when you begin to treat your body with respect, with gratitude, with acceptance, even before it changes, you start sending signals of safety to yourself. You lower your stress hormones, your body functions better, you probably sleep better, your cravings improve, your mood stabilizes, and your habits shift from punishment to self-care. And that is a big shift. And this is why loving our body now is not some, quote, feel good idea. I really think it's a requirement for long lasting transformation and lifestyle change. Because ultimately, at the end of the day, if the changes that you are making are coming from a place of anger towards your body, punishment, of frustration, of just like bending of the will versus, I talk about trying to work with your body, getting it back in tune with your body, loving your body. If you're operating out of the former, that is ultimately going to, I think, lead down the road to self sabotage. It's going to lead to burnout because we can only, white knuckle things for so long. And truly, this process has to be about loving ourselves enough, and caring for ourselves, our body, mind, soul, spirit to transform. And so from here, I want to move into contentment because I think self love, self acceptance, and contentment go hand in hand because a lot of people confuse um, this word. They think contentment means complacency, like you're giving up. Um, they think, oh, if I'm content with myself, that would, like, why would I bother even trying to change, right? But that's not contentment, that's resignation, okay? So I want to be clear on that. Contentment is very different. Contentment is peace in the present moment while still working towards growth. It's saying, I'm grateful what I have today, and I'm still moving forward into something better. Like, I'm grateful that my body allowed me to wake up this morning and go to my homeschool community and to do my client check-in. It's given me, I have enough energy, I have enough focus, brain power, my heart is beating, my legs work. I will truly say, you don't appreciate with your health what you have until it's gone, right? And if you've ever been in a spot like that, hopefully you haven't, but it is so true. It's saying, I'm grateful that I woke up this morning and I'm breathing and I'm able to move, but I can still move forward and improve myself. I can still make those good food choices. I can still go to the gym and exercise, move my body. I can get outside. I can walk. Resignation says, why try, right? Nothing will change. Contentment says, I'm thankful for today and I trust tomorrow will be better because of the choices I am making today, right now. And that's a really big shift. I'm going to say that again because I think we have just really convoluted contentment and resignation. So resignation would say, why try? Nothing will change. Contentment says, I am thankful for today and I trust tomorrow is going to be better because of the choices that I've made today, right now. And again, this is science backs this up. People who approach change from a place of gratitude and peace actually stick with their habits longer. And you might ask yourself, why is that? Well, it's because they're not constantly fighting themselves, right? They're not carrying the heavy emotional weight of shame, anger, and resentment. Shame, anger, and resentment are really heavy. And we need to shed those on this journey towards our best health, right? And a healthy weight. We need to let go of shame, anger, and resentment. And when you live in constant dissatisfaction, again, your hormones aren't going to work properly, right? It's going to put you into fight or flight. Your cortisol is going to stay elevated. You're always in a not enough state, right? Scarcity mindset. And your body is going to be stressed and you're going to feel that stress. And one thing I'll say about that is, we only have so much bandwidth every day to, give towards all of the different categories in our life. I was talking with a client earlier today, and they were sharing how they're always trying to find that balance between life, diet, and exercise. Life is family, work life. Diet is, grocery shopping, meal planning, eating, and managing that. And then exercise is, being intentional about movement and getting outside and all of that. And it's like, it sometimes feels like you can only focus on two, right? But I just totally lost my train of thought, guys. I'm gonna be totally honest. Oh, what I was saying. Okay, here we go. This is what happens when I don't have copious notes or when I go on a tangent. But what I think is so important to realize is that every day we have a limited amount of energy to give, and every day is not going to be equal. Some mornings I wake up and I'm like, I am ready to go. Like, let's kill this day. Let's get her done. Other days I wake up and it's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to like choose something to wear? And how am I going to just do the very bare minimum, right? Going to the gym, oh my word, that feels like climbing a mountain. Maybe I can go do like one lap around the block for a walk, right? Every day we only have so much to give. Why would we give our energy to shame, anger, and resentment on this journey, right? Versus gratitude, thankfulness, contentment for everything that our body has already done for us and what, it's hopefully going to continue to do day after day after day. When we practice contentment, your body feels safe and safe bodies change. Um, so I want to kind of reframe this, if we can. Contentment is not the end of the journey. And I think a lot of times we're like, we'll find contentment when we, hit X weight, when we're an X size in our jeans, or once I can see my abs, then I'll be content. Contentment is not the end of the journey. It's the fuel for the journey. Okay. Maybe you need to write that down and put it in your bathroom in the mirror and say that to yourself as you look at your reflection every day, as you're, going through this process and you don't feel content with where you're at. And that's okay to be like, this isn't enough. I want more for myself. That is totally okay. And that's good. Right. But at the same time being like, wow, I am thankful. I'm thankful I've gotten this far, right? So let's talk about like kind of transition back to self-love. I think most people hear self-love and they think of, bubble baths and spa days. And listen, there is nothing wrong with those things, but self-love is so much deeper. Self-love is doing what's best for your body even when it's hard, truly. Self-love is saying no to the processed foods that makes you feel terrible the next day. Self-love is closing your laptop at 9 o'clock and going to bed instead of scrolling on your phone until midnight. Self-love is lacing up your shoes and walking around the block, even when you'd rather sit on the couch and veg because you're so exhausted or just mentally tapped out. And you know what? Self-love is also giving yourself grace. It's choosing not to spiral into guilt after eating dessert. It's choosing to forgive yourself when you mess up and move forward without punishment, right? And I think this totally plays into the fact that we are not an all or nothing community. We are a community of people who are trying to show up every day, give everything we have for that day, the little or large amount, right? And we accept the fact that we're human and we're going to mess up. And that's okay. Every time we do something that we're like, oh, like, Hope, why did you eat half a pan of brownies? Like, that's not smart. You're not going to feel good. That's not going to, put you towards your goals. But then I ask myself, and thankfully it's been a while, I think, since I've eaten a half a pan of brownies by myself, but it's for sure happened in the past. Um, but like saying, okay, well, what led me to eat a half a pan of brownies? Because it seems a little unreasonable. Like what led me down that path? And then just with love and kindness, self-evaluate and figure out, oh, wow, I was feeling really emotionally low, or I was super stressed. And I needed, connection with people. I needed a mood boost. And I thought these brownies were the ticket when in fact they probably weren't. Maybe I felt good for a little bit, but I can tell you an hour after, for sure not, right? And so it's choosing to forgive ourselves that we're human, right? Accept it and move forward without being like, okay, I ate a half a pan of brownies. I have to go run a mile and lift weights for an hour. And tomorrow I'm fasting. I'm not eating anything. That is the opposite of what we want, right? Shame and punishment can motivate you for a short while, truly, but, and this is a really big but, they will always burn you out. And that is a huge thing that I talk about with clients in my 8-week personalized coaching program is like, people are always like, I'm good for a couple weeks, but then I burn out. And then I want to give up, I want to quit. And everything we teach in Lifestyle School for Weight Loss, my online course, and everything I work with my clients on in our 8 weeks personalized coaching program is figuring about how can we get away from all or nothing, which is typically a lot of times like in that spiral of guilt and shame, anger. It's like very much white knuckling. Let's like do this super hard for as long as we can. And then eventually we give up, right? We're going to get away from that. We're going to do this in a way that's not going to burn us out and that's not building on shame and punishment, but working with our bodies in a way that makes us feel good, both physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. Self-love on the other hand, from shame and punishment is a renewable resource, right? It sustains you because it's rooted in identity. And really that's the next piece of this when we're talking about, you know, the self-love journey of acceptance and loving ourselves on this path. Instead of thinking, I need to lose weight, we need to shift to, I am someone who values my health. I'm someone who takes care of their body. And when we shift from the I need to lose weight to I am someone who values my health, that identity changes everything. Because then you believe you're someone who values health. When you truly believe that about yourself, your actions start lining up with that belief, right? And you don't have to force it because you start to embody it. And, you know, I think this sometimes like we think about these things, we talk about these things, and you're like, yes, Hope, like this makes sense. I want to do a better job of loving myself now, of accepting myself now, having contentment. And one other thing, actually, I want to talk about contentment before I move on to the next part of the podcast is when it comes to contentment with our body. I think that's a huge piece of this puzzle, but I also think um, we live in a society that contentment isn't valued. Like we live in an extremely materialistic, showy society. Social media, I think, plays a huge part in this. But how would your life look differently? And this is something I want you to chew on. How would your life look differently if you were just content in your life and your circumstances, not just your body right now? And what I really mean by this, and this is honestly something that I've been thinking about for years, and I feel like honestly, God is constantly working on my heart around, is what do I actually need to feel content? And, you know, anytime I get like that itch of like, oh, I'd be happy if um these are not real life examples because I actually love my car. But if I got this different car, then I would feel happy. Or, if I got this handbag, I would be, content, or I'd feel cool. Or, if I was able to just get clothes like this would make me feel XYZ. And if you find yourself having those types of thoughts, I just want to challenge you that like no material thing is truly going to ever bring contentment. Um, they might bring like a little bit of joy, here and there for a short period of time, but truly like finding contentment, I think if you're just trying to find contentment in your body and you're not trying to also pursue it in all areas of your life of just, you know, I have a roof over my head. I'm super thankful. Maybe it's not perfect. It's not showy. It's not social media beautiful, but like I have 4 walls and they're mine, and I have air conditioning, which is a huge deal for me. I am so grateful and content, and just being still in that place of contentment and not constantly chasing after other things. I think I think it's all really connected to this whole idea of being content in our body, of loving our body, and getting out of like the rat race in a lot of ways of wanting or doing or needing to achieve XYZ. And again, contentment isn't complacency. And I want to be super clear on that. I so much believe in like being a go-getter and like pursuing your goals and working really hard. Those are huge values of mine. But at the same time, we have to have that internal contentment and peace, exactly where we are, or I just don't think anything is going to go the way we want, in regards to like self-growth. So something to chew on. This was a total challenge, tangent, but as I was thinking about this podcast episode, I wanted to make sure I roped that in because I do think finding contentment in our bodies, in our journey, in our pace of our journey, that's a really big one. Is such a big part of this whole process. So shifting, sorry, that was a big tangent, but I think, we talk about self-love. Oh, hope that's great. I want to do a better job, but like, let's talk about some practical shifts that we can do to move ourselves in that direction. Like, how do we actually put this into practice? And so I want to give you some strategies. My goal is always to make this podcast really tangible. Sometimes I know maybe I get a little cerebral. Thanks for hanging with me, but I think number one, daily gratitude for our body is a big thing. And I'm going to be totally honest. Um, I have struggled in the past to be a person who's like connected to their emotions. I used to really, like 5 years ago, I was that person who's like, emotions are just a waste of time. They're not based in reality. We can just kind of like forget about them and move on. But it's not really, that's not really a healthy place to be. And so, you guys, maybe you're on a self growth journey. I am on a never ending self growth journey as well. Thankfully, through growth, life, hard experiences, therapy, I'm growing in my ability to manage my emotions and acknowledge my emotions truly, and take these different parts of myself and acknowledge them and then continue to move forward. But um, the thought of like doing daily gratitude for your body, I feel like is kind of like an emotional thing, which I think in the past I've kind of been like, ooh, I don't know if it's really going to be that helpful. But I will tell you, there's been different times of my life where I've really struggled with my uh what is the word? Pregnancy is consistently stealing words from my brain. My self-esteem, where, I had like a time in college where I was really struggling. Fun fact, this is actually funny. So if you've seen a picture of me on social media, I have long blonde hair. I have blue eyes, very fair skin. I went through this phase in college. It was very bad, guys. I chopped like 16 inches off of my hair. So my hair was like chin length. And then I dyed it brown, like a brownish orange it ended up being. And then I also got bangs at the same time. I had to, this is again another tangent, but I had to dye my eyebrows because my eyebrows are so blonde. I looked really weird. But I literally looked like I entered witness protection. At this time, I also like gained weight because of like the stress of working a ton of hours, taking way too many credits at one time. It was just overall a really low point. And I can look back and I laugh about it. My friends and I actually laugh about it together because like I just looked like a different person. Maybe I'll put a picture of it up on my social media this week, but it was a really low point for my self-esteem. I'll just put it that way. And my mom actually told me, Hope, you need to like look at yourself in the mirror every morning and you need to fake it till you make it. And you need to start like saying positive things to yourself. And if you hear yourself, look at yourself in the mirror and you say it back to yourself, eventually you're going to start to believe it. And I was like, okay, mom, like, I don't know, like this is kind of woo woo, as people say. But I will tell you, this specific phase in college when I did this, I put it up on my mirror and I forced myself to say it out loud. Just like, thank you, body, for carrying me through yesterday. Thank you for healing from that headache. Thank you for, you know, recovering after that night of horrible sleep. I mean, really can be anything. It could be, maybe it is as much as like you're saying, like, I am fearfully and wonderfully made. I am beautiful. I'm worthy of love and acceptance. I mean, this is going to look from different from person to person. Maybe it's going to be like, I am capable of achieving the weight that I desire. And you know, going, down these different tracks. But if you say something to yourself out loud in the mirror, if you look yourself in the eye, you're going to start to believe it. And the reason why is because you rewire your brain. And you're rewiring your brain to like notice the good about yourself. And that's really important. And so, it also brings up the thing of like when you look in the mirror. So I'd call this daily gratitude for your body is one, but also mirror work. And I don't know if this is better or worse for women. If you're a man listening to this podcast, I think I have a predominantly female audience, but I do know that there are some men that listen. And I'd be curious to hear your perspective. But when you look in the mirror, instead of getting laser focused on your flaws, practice saying one kind thing to yourself. It doesn't have to be a cheesy affirmation. It could be something as simple as like, I'm proud of you for showing up today. I'm proud of you for drinking that water this morning. I'm proud of you for going to the gym, whatever that looks like. But rather than looking in the mirror, I think it can be such like a place of nitpicking of ourselves. We have to change our interaction with the mirror. Number 3, and I think this is really important, is we need to wear clothes that fit us now. And I'm currently pregnant, so getting dressed is always so annoying because I feel like nothing fits me the way that I want it to fit, and just, clothes, gross. It just, yeah, nothing is fun. It's not fun to get dressed because you just like don't feel good in anything you wear. It's either like too tight or it's pulling different weird, or you're just like, I look frumpy, whatever. So, but on our journey, we need to stop punishing ourselves with clothes that are too small for us or maybe too big. And we have to dress for the body we have today, because truly that is an act of respect. And what it does, it allows you to feel comfortable and confident right now. And I want to be clear, I'm not saying like go get a new wardrobe, spend a bunch of money, go to a thrift store and buy, a couple things. It doesn't have to be new. I've really tried to be more of like a thrifty person, as I've had a little bit more bandwidth of my kids getting a little bit older. But um, wear clothes that you feel good in, because that's going to help you accept your body right now. I'm not saying we're accepting it to not continue to move forward, but we don't want to set ourselves up for failure, which is, I think, wearing jeans where you feel like you're bursting over the top of them kind of does. You're just not going to feel good about yourself. And number 4 is we need to focus on non-scale victories. And I don't think I talk about these enough, actually. The scale is only one piece of data. Start noticing wins elsewhere. So this could be your energy. Maybe you have so much more energy. Maybe you're not crashing in the middle of the afternoon. Maybe you're sleeping through the night for the first time in years, or like falling asleep quickly. Maybe it's waking up feeling refreshed. Maybe your digestion has regulated. You're having healthy bowel movements 1 to 2 a day versus only going once a week, or feeling constantly bloated, right? Maybe your mental clarity is so much better. You used to forget things all the time, and now you walk into a room and you actually remember why you walked in there, right? Maybe you're getting stronger. Maybe you just feel happier and your mood is better. These are all huge indicators of progress that are not at all scale related. Usually, you know, they're going to overlap on some level, but we have to focus on things more than just the scale, because all of our journeys, health journeys and weight loss journeys, are going to be different. Sometimes our body needs some times before it's going to be like, okay, we're ready to drop weight. And I've seen that with clients, and it's extremely frustrating, right? But there's so much more going on in our physiology when we really try to get at the root of what's causing us to not feel well and to be overweight and be, sluggish. And so focusing on these non-scale victories is super important, and we have to make sure we celebrate them. And then number 5 is building small, consistent habits. Self-love and contentment grow through action, right? They're not just going to happen on accident. Um, Drinking water, moving our bodies, getting sun in our eyes first thing in the morning, going to bed on time, every small act reinforces the identity that I am someone who cares about themselves, like who cares for themselves. Like I care enough about my body and my well-being that I'm going to do these things even when they're not convenient, right? And so all of these things are going to shift us in the right direction. But I think it's also good to quickly talk about some common pitfalls that people get stuck in. We kind of touched on this, but the I'll love myself when trap, when you tie self-love to a future result, you're really truly never going to arrive there. The shift is I love myself enough to make a better choice today, right? We can't fall into that trap of I'll love myself when. Secondly, the comparison trap. And oh my goodness, guys, this is such a big problem, the comparison trap. I still find myself having to be super careful about this. And again, it's tied back into contentment. The social media game, guys, it's full of highlight reels. Sometimes, like, maybe you don't see me on social media for a while. It's because I just I just can't handle it. And I don't feel like I have anything good or positive to say because real life can be hard at times, right? And life isn't a highlight reel. And it's fine that balance of like you want to show up real, but uh you don't want to be like a Debbie Downer all the time on social media, right? And you have to realize anytime you're seeing people on social media, I mean, there are those people who are real on there and we love them for it. But someone else's body, someone else's life is not your standard. Someone else's journey is not going to be your journey. Your progress, like your inner growth, is truly what matters. So we just have to like totally let go of comparison because comparison is truly the thief of joy. And we want to have a joyful process. At least I do. I don't know about you, but I do. And then lastly, and you've heard me say it before, and I will say it again and again, we have to get rid of the all or nothing thinking. The whole I ate one cookie, so my whole day is ruined. I may as well finish this sleeve of Oreos. No, it's not ruined. It's one cookie. Make the next choice aligned with who you want to be, right? If you were driving down the road and you hit a curb just right and you popped your tire, you're not going to go grab a knife and slash your other 3 tires. It's the same thing. We got to get rid of this all or nothing mentality and realize how crazy that mentality really is. So here's what I want you to hear today. Contentment is not your enemy. It's the foundation of your transformation. Loving your body now is not the thing that's going to hold you back. It's the very thing that's going to unlock the progress you've been chasing, hopefully. Your challenge this week is simple. I would love for you to pick one practice of contentment and self-love that we talked about, whether that's, mirror work, daily encouragement, maybe buying a pair of jeans that actually fit, and do it daily. Okay. Focus on those non-scale victories. Whatever feels most doable for you today, start small, but start. Okay. And then, if this message spoke to you, I would be so honored if you would be willing to share it with a friend who needs it. And if you're ready to go deeper on this topic, if you want to learn how to build a lifestyle where contentment, self-love, and metabolic health come together, come join me inside of the Lifestyle School for Weight Loss course. I also have a spot open in my 8-week personalized coaching program. I do want to say, so I'm due to have this baby in January, which is like the worst time for a weight loss coach to be like, I'm taking maternity leave, but I will be taking some time off when I have this baby. And so if you're thinking like, I'm ready to make a change and you want to work together, I would love to work with you. It's the holiday season is just around the corner. And honestly, I think it's a really great time to work with a coach because real life hits the fan when it's the holiday season, right? Like you're thrown into all sorts of different situations of, family dynamics, gatherings, busyness, and truly what a gift to give to yourself of learning how to navigate that with grace, with contentment, with self-love, not guilt, shame, anger, and putting off our health until a later date, right? Because there's never, I say this to my clients, but I'll just say it. There is never a convenient time to change your priorities and make health the priority that needs to be in life. If you are feeling unwell, if you're feeling, like you're not thriving from a health perspective, there's never going to be a perfect time. There's always going to be a birthday, a holiday, something busy with life or the kids or work that's going to keep you back. So you just have to decide, what is important? What do you want? And if you want someone to walk alongside of you during that, I would love to be that person for you. I'd be so honored. And so you can check out at my website, www.hopeplatcoaching.com, about my 8 weeks personalized coaching program, as well as my Lifestyle School for Weight Loss course. I would love to encourage you and walk alongside you in that. And as always, if you haven't, leave a review of the podcast, make a comment, share it with a friend. That's the best way that you can support me in this podcast. Until next time, guys, remember, you can't hate yourself into health, but you can love yourself into transformation. Take care, guys. We'll see you next week.